Hello, Barnard family. So today is chapter 3 and 4 of Milo and Jazz, the case of the stinky socks. So let's get started. Chapter 3. Milo jumped up. How could I be spying on you? I wasn't even looking in your direction. I was looking at He glanced around wildly. That car. Jazz raised an eyebrow. Oh yeah? Yeah. Suddenly her hand shot out before he could duck. Her fingers clamped over his eyes. What color is it? Huh? What color is the car? Milo tried to think. He had no idea. So much for the first step towards becoming a super sleuth. Silver? He guessed. She took her hand away. The car was brown. I mean, kind of a silvery brown, you know? Jazz crossed her arms. I know you're spying on me. You even faked tying your shoelaces. What makes you think I was faking? She pointed at his sneakers. Velcro. Milo scowled. She was a better observer than he was, and she hadn't even read Dash's lessons. Jazz reached for the spy shades. Sounding friendlier, she says, I saw these in Whodunit magazine. Do they really work? She tried them on and craned her neck. Oh, Milo thought. She'd been reading Whodunit. No wonder the magazine looked so familiar, he said. You like reading mysteries? She nodded. And I'm good at solving them too. When you're the youngest of 4 kids, no one tells you anything, so I always had to figure out things by myself. She handed him back the glasses. So, what are you playing? Spy? Detective? Milo stood up straighter. I'm not playing anything, he said. I happen to be a real private eye in training, and I'm trying to solve a mystery. Really? Her eyes widened. What is it? Well, actually I don't know yet, he said. She looked confused. You're solving a mystery, but you don't know what it is. Milo explained what Dash Marlowe and his detective lessons. So now I have to come up with a real case to solve, but so far I'm not having any luck. He shook his head. I bet there hadn't been a missing diamond or stolen code in this whole town today. You need to let people know you're a detective, Jazz said. Advertise. You mean like on TV? Milo pictured himself bellowing into a camera like Crazy Larry the car dealer. Jazz laughed. I was thinking more like putting up signs. That's what my sister did when she wanted a babysitting job. Signs. That made sense. Milo followed Jazz into her house. She got out some papers and a purple glitter pen. They sat down at the kitchen table. So, what do you want to say? She asked. I don't know. Call me if you have a case? Jazz shook her head. It needs to be catchier, something people will remember. He thought, how about Milo can solve a case even if it's from outer space? She giggled. Then she said, hang on, I got it. Milo and Jazz, private eye, mysteries of any size. Milo and Jazz? What did she mean, and Jazz? Hey, wait a minute. She kept right on talking as if she didn't hear him. Give us a shout. We'll figure it out. Suddenly they heard someone shouting. Chapter 4. Jazz ran up the stairs with Milo close behind. They followed the yelling to an open door. Gone! Gone, gone, gone! Milo peeked into the room. Whoa! His mom thought his room was a mess. She should see this. Drawers hanging open, clothes trailing from the closet, a laundry basket laid on its side, dirty laundry spilled everywhere. At first, Milo didn't see anyone in the mess. Then he spotted 2 long legs poking out from under the bed. Dillon, what's wrong? Jazz asked. The legs wiggled backwards and a teenage boy stood up. He wore a blue t-shirt that said Westview Wildcats in gold. He looked upset. "My lucky socks," he said. "They're gone." Milo looked around the room. There were socks all over the place. Jazz must have noticed them too. "Are you sure they're gone?" Her brother nodded. "I looked everywhere." "Where did you last see the socks?" asked Milo. His mother always asked that when he lost something. "In my locker," Dillon said. "I always keep them in my locker between games." "Then why were you looking here?" Dillon shrugged. "Just in case I brought them home by mistake." Jazz looked at him. "If you never bring them home, how do they get washed?" "They don't." "Dillon, that's disgusting," Jazz said. "I was wearing them when I pitched a no-hitter in the first game of a season." Her brother protested. "I don't want to wash away the luck." "Don't they smell bad?" Milo asked. "They stink. That's how I noticed they were gone. My locker stopped smelling so rotten," Dillon glowered. When I catch the creep who stole them." "Stole them?" Milo's ears perked up. Could this be his first case? He pulled out his notebook. Jazz said, "Who would steal your stinky socks?" "I think it was an eagle," Dillon said. "An eagle?" Milo pictured a bird with sharp talons swooping down to snatch the socks away. The Eagleston Eagles," said Dillon. "While I was practicing, someone on the team must have snuck into our locker and nabbed my lucky socks." "Why?" said Milo. "The Eagles and the Wildcats are big, big rivals. We've got a game against them coming up. And they'll do anything to make us lose." "How would they know about your socks?" Milo asked. "They couldn't actually smell them on the field." "Could they?" Dillon sighed. "Everyone knows. The local TV station sent a camera crew to the game last week, and I shot off my big mouth about my winning streak. Told them with my lucky socks we couldn't lose." He slumped down on his bed. Jazz asked, "Did you check with your teammates? Maybe somebody took them by mistake?" I asked everyone, even Coach. "Does anyone else use the boys' locker room after school?" she asked. Dillon shrugged. "The swim team, I guess, and the tennis players, and the fencing club, and track and field." "That's a lot of people," Jazz said. "Anyone could have walked off with your socks. But why would anyone from our school want to wreck my lucky streak? We're on the same side." "Maybe someone's mad at you," Milo suggested. He was getting tired of Jazz asking all the questions. Who was the super sleuth around here anyway? "Have you got any enemies?" he asked. Dillon frowned. "I don't think so." "Then maybe it's an internal sock-snapping gang? Was there a ransom note?" "Case, missing socks, suspects, eagle, enemy, sock-snapping gang." Dillon shook his head. "I'm sure it was an eagle." He sank onto his unmade bed. "Friday's a big game. Without my lucky socks, we'll never win." "Friday? That was the day after tomorrow." As they headed back downstairs, Jazz said, "So I think we should start at the scene of the crime." Milo looked at her. "What do you mean, we?" "They're my brother's missing socks," she says. "Besides, every detective needs a partner, right?" "A partner? Anyway," she said, not waiting for an answer, "I've got a plan. What I think is—" "I already have a plan," Milo cut in. "Who was in charge of this case, anyway?" "Really?" said Jazz. "What?" "Tomorrow afternoon I'm going over to the high school." Jazz lifted an eyebrow. And? Okay, maybe it wasn't a plan exactly. "And then I'll look for clues." "Like what?" How was he supposed to know before he looked? Maybe someone saw an eagle in the locker room. How would they know? "What do you mean?" "How would they know it was an eagle?" He shrugged. "Maybe he had on his uniform." Jazz snorted. "Right. If I wanted to sneak into a locker room and steal stuff from a rival team, I would definitely wear my uniform. He had to admit that she was thinking logically. Josh Marlowe would approve. Okay, what's your brilliant plan then? She smiled. Harvey Partners? Milo considered. On the one hand, they were her brother's socks. And Jazz did seem pretty smart, but he didn't like her know-it-all attitude, and besides, what kind of private eye wore purple flowered clogs? We'd make a fantastic team, she said. I'll be the brains and you can be the... She frowned. Well, I'm sure you can help. That settled it. I don't need a partner, he told her. I'm going to solve this case all by myself.